Good evening and a warm welcome to Nationwide on NTA. I am Ifoma Ojinta. On 27th July 2020, the Department of State Services, DSS, alerted the nation on desperate efforts by some notable personalities trying to take advantage of developments in the country to cause a total breakdown of law and order. It's also revealed that part of the orchestrations was to engage in divisive acts as well as use inciting statements to pit one group against another. A statement released by Public Relations Officer, Department of State Services, Peter Afunanya, indicates that with latest occurrences in the country, Nigerians may have no reason to doubt the service's earlier pronouncement. Dr. Obadiah Lafia's recent outburst aimed at playing to the gallery and creating unnecessary tension is a confirmation of his group's desperation to breach the peace. May Lafia, as a former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and currently a directing staff at Nigeria's foremost policy research institute, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS Kuru, has unhindered access to government platforms. It is expected that he should be conversant with official information management protocols. The service also wishes to warn others who, in the guise of political mobilization and supposed pursuit of group interest, engage in hostile and subversive activities to desist forthwith from advancing their inimical and parochial causes. In line with its mandate of detecting and preventing threats and crimes against the internal security of Nigeria, the service hereby reiterates its previous warning that it will henceforth not condone unruly conduct of persons and groups that ought to know better. On the other hand, the service implores law-abiding citizens to go about their normal businesses without fear. The Nigerian military says its air task force of Operation Lafia Dole has eliminated scores of Islamic State of West Africa province fighters and destroyed compounds housing them at Tongule in the Lake Chad area of northern Borno. A statement from the Directorate of Defense Media Operations indicates that the airstrikes were conducted on 12 August 2020 following credible human intelligence reports indicating terrorist activities in the village. Following this confirmation through surveillance missions, the Air Task Force dispatched Nigerian Air Force fighter jets to attack the location, leading to the destruction of the structures as well as the neutralization of several ISWAP fighters. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, has commended the Air Task Force for their dedication. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Navy has signed a memorandum of understanding which will expand the hydrological survey of inland waterways to enhance the export of Nigerian goods among other trade benefits. Defense correspondent Naja'atu Tijani reports.
Displaying terms of an agreement which is projected to be a game-changer in exportation, the Nigerian Navy has cause to celebrate this strategic partnership, which will chart a new course in hydrological surveys.
Nigeria is blessed with vast maritime space, which have remained uncharted and ungoverned. Perhaps what we are doing now will have benefit from what we are putting in place.
That brought up the idea of setting up a maritime service that will facilitate the export of Nigerian commodities, especially bulk commodities.
The initiative is an extension of the Sea Link project, which coordinates inland waterways operations. And this strategic partnership will expand on all this to create new opportunities for trade to flourish. It is expected to also provide security support for safe navigation along trade routes. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Tiv community is supporting peace and conflict resolution initiatives of Nasarawa State Government for Sustainable Development as Governor Abdullahi Sule promises inclusive governance. From Lafia, Aliyu Tijani Mohammed reports.
Zaki Gasso is a farmer and community leader from Hauwa, joins in the solidarity, acknowledging the relative peace which made it possible for farmers to return to work. Zaki's position is corroborated by others who say government has done a lot in its campaign for peace and security of the state.
Everyone agrees that living together in peace is the best.
Today, as a result of this relative peace, our people have resumed massive farming and can now sleep with their eyes closed.
I have seen the Fulanis, the Kanuris, the Hausas, the Alagos living in peace with the Tiv as brothers and sisters. We must go back to that. That's the only way that this country will develop.
In Lafia, Aliyu Tijani Mohammed, NTA News.
Still on security, community policing initiated by the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Abubakar Adamu, is yielding results in Cross River states with the parade of 34 suspects, including kidnappers, by the State Police Command in Calabar. Paul Abel reports that buildings and hideouts belonging to the suspected criminals have also been demolished.
With support from the Intelligence Response Team, IRT, successes have been recorded, including the arrest of kidnapped suspects of wife of Appeal Court Judge Justice Akube and armed robbers. Other suspects include drug vendors, sea pirates, cultists, rapists, murderers. Recovered items include firearms, ammunition, machetes, and phones.
Give me 70,000.
70,000?
Yes.
For you to supply the information?
Yes.
To sustain the assault on criminal activities, the command solicits support from traditional rulers, religious leaders, youth community leaders, civil liberty organizations, and the political class.
The command has strategized and mapped out an onslaught on cultism, armed robbery, kidnapping, and other social vices across the states, and will never renege on this matter, no matter whose horse is gone.
To send the right signal to perpetrators of crime in the state, police authorities in Cross River State also demolished structures belonging to suspects. I am Paul Abel, NTA News.
And to other news now, riverine communities in Mokwa and Lavin local government areas of Niger State, especially those located in the lowland and along river banks, have been advised to relocate to the highlands to avoid flooding. Head National Emergency Management Agency, MENA Operations Office, Mrs. Lydia Wagami, gave the advice in a message to the flag of distribution of relief support to persons affected by the rainstorm in the two local government areas. Jones Ajayi reports.
Rain and windstorm affected over 21 communities. The disaster led to the collapse of houses, blown off rooftops, pulled down fences, and also affected electric installations, amongst others. This prompted the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, to instruct the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to embark on an on-the-spot assessment to enable the ministry support the victims. Based on this, relief materials were supplied for distribution to the victims.
All the relief material here will be distributed to the persons affected.
Speaking at the symbolic distribution of the items, the head NEMA MENA Operations Office, Mrs. Lydia Wagami, said NEMA does not compensate but provide succor for disaster victims. Represented by the head Search and Rescue Unit, Issa Husseini, Mrs. Wagami enjoined the beneficiaries not to sell the items but utilize them for the purpose intended.
I appreciate them. May the Lord bless them.
NEMAs have been giving people a lot of support, but this one has come to ourselves. Thank God it's not a year saying now. It has come and we'll see.
Chairman Mokwa Local Government Council, Yahya Abubakar Sheti, appreciated NEMA for its intervention, saying necessary measures will be put in place to ensure that the items are not diverted. Jones Ajayi, NTA News.
And to Katsina State now, Governor Aminu Bello Masari has flagged off the distribution of COVID-19 palliatives to vulnerable households in the 34 local government areas of the state. Awal Halilu reports that the assorted items were donated by Coalition Against Coronavirus Pandemic.
The ravaging nature of coronavirus pandemic on the economy and social well-being of the people called for unprecedented support and cooperation to the government by the private sector coalition to address the negative effects of COVID-19. The assorted food relief items will be distributed to more than 67,000 vulnerable households selected from across the 34 local government areas of the state.
Resources which were budgeted for other developmental projects and the programs were invariably diverted towards containing the pandemic and the management of the victims.
We are assured that outstanding will be delivered within the next 2 weeks.
Governor Aminu Bello Masari expressed appreciation for the donation, saying that the state government has put in place effective measures to curtail the spread of COVID-19 in the state. He said plans have been made for the effective distribution of the palliatives to the beneficiaries.
The effect of coronavirus, COVID-19 in Nigeria, by providing relief programs to most vulnerable households in the country.
Implementation committee with membership drawn from various sectors is to monitor the distribution of the relief items, which include assorted rice, maize, noodles, sugar, among others. In Katsina, Awal Haliru, NTA News.
The federal government has reiterated its readiness to ensure smooth takeoff of the federal government's special economic zones located in Cross River and Kano states. Chimobi Walter Naji reports that this was made known as an event to engage the transaction advisors for the reform in Abuja.
Considering the over 100 billion naira sunk into the development and completion of the Kano and Cross River State Special Economic Zones and Export Processing Zones by the federal government last year, efforts are still being made to ensure project takes off as soon as possible to ensure increased investment opportunities in the country, job creation, economic stability, and encourage ease of doing business. The signing of an agreement to engage the transaction advisors for the concessioning of the project is to kickstart arrangements for the takeoff of the zones.
We have gotten to the point where things will finally be consummated.
What we are looking at basically is to have a three-tier structure for the concessioning of the two free trade zones. One is the selection of a property ownership company that will have the legal ownership of the two free trade zones. We will then appoint a concessionaire through a competitive bidding selection process.
The zones, when fully operational, is believed to act as a catalyst for the development of Nigeria's manufacturing sector and growth of the rail sectors. In Abuja, I'm Chimobi Walter Naji, NTA News.
The Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, is leveraging on the August break to repair roads nationwide. The Federal Capital Territory is equally undergoing repairs, with the Abuja-Kefi Road being the latest. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
Idowuda Mola, a frequent user of the Abuja-Kefi Road, felt relieved, citing the repairs of the lost portions where he had to dodge criminals who rob at the failed portion of the road at night on few occasions.
You know how this place can be, you know how we can be as Nigerians. At least that it's been done like this time. Beautiful.
FEMA is not just recovering lost pavements of the road, but even the shoulder to ensure expansion and smooth flow of traffic.
On this particular axis, there is still an action going on where we call it snake farm on this particular axis before Kefi.
So we are putting a lot of time, a lot of resources to make sure these roads are well maintained at all times.
We will ensure that most of the drainages are taken care of, they are completely desilted, and the carriageways are properly patched.
In Abuja, Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
It's now time to take a break. When we return, Doto continues with Nationwide from Lagos.
ICPC and NTA say you can help Nigeria to flatten the curve on COVID-19, just as
you can help flatten the curve on corruption. Follow transparency, accountability, and integrity just as you follow health guidelines. Stay home with integrity and maintain your distance from corruption, just as you stay away from COVID-19 by maintaining social distance. Report every act of corruption to ICPC, just as you report COVID-19 to NCDC. Stay away from corruption, stay safe from COVID-19. Report any act of corruption to ICPC on toll-free number 0800-2255-4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
NTA TV College Jos, an affiliate of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, is currently admitting students for its ordinary diploma programs in television journalism, television production, and television engineering. Interested candidates are advised to obtain relevant information concerning eligibility at our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or marketing department of any NTA station nationwide. For further information, contact Assistant Director, Marketing, NTA TV College Jos on 0803-314-4383 or the Academic Office of the College on 0806-980-9807. Announcer, Registrar.
To Lagos. Justice Akeem Oshodi of the Ikeja High Court, Lagos, has ordered the counsel to the alleged kidnapper, Chukwudimeme Onwa-Dike, popularly known as Evans, to write and sign an undertaking to finish the criminal case. Justice Oshodi gave the order to the defense counsel, Oyekunle Falabi, after delivering a ruling on the no-case submissions filed by Evans' 4 co-defendants. More details will come in our subsequent news bulletin. Motorists in Lagos are still having to deal with traffic trying to navigate some parts of the metropolis. Here is an update of the situation. While the Third Mainland Bridge remains partially closed, the traffic situation around some designated alternative routes were devoid of the usual gridlock as motorists moved with little or no impediments aside stops occasioned by traffic lights. Some of the areas monitored include Adekunle, Abatmakoli Way, Costain, Alaka, all through Ikorodu Road.
In the evening time, the tanker trailer just park everywhere.
It was also observed that repair work on the damaged section of Eko Bridge, which commenced earlier this month, continues and has reached an advanced stage.
Federal Ministry of Works, right now, we are working on Outer Marina Road. So if you are coming from Marina, you are going towards Ahmadu Bello Way. And the same contractor is working along Ikorodu up to Ojota. Then from Ojota, coming back to Maryland, we have Julius Baja working on this alternative road.
A statement by the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Olukayode Popola, said a faulty expansion joint on Alaka Bridge would be replaced at the weekend and urged articulated vehicles to stay away. He said the faults that developed around the expansion joint on the mainland-bound carriageway usually caused vehicles to slow down around the damaged portion, necessitating its immediate replacement. Building relationships, bridging the gaps among the divide through peaceful deliberations, and resuscitating Christians Pilgrims Board in states where they are non-existent are seriously being pursued by the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission, Reverend Yakubu Pam. Amaka Owo reports that this was during an engagement with pilgrims leaders in the Southwest held in Lagos.
Many Christians often embark on pilgrimage to Jerusalem, the Holy Land, to witness relics that depict Christianity for spiritual upliftment. This has necessitated the need for leadership of the Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission to re-emphasize stronger collaboration among various Christian pilgrim boards across the country and their respective state governments for adequate preparations for pilgrimage.
We will use this only one agency that have the link to government and have a link to the church. Instead of using it negatively or being silent, we should be able to use it as a bridge building to where there are divides, where there are crises. We can be able to go into and help establish a discussion. It's all to build understanding among Nigerians.
The 6-point agenda of the Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission, which includes zero tolerance for corruption and fostering peaceful coexistence across the country, is a priority project of the Commission and has received support of its members.
Since we seriously, positively improve than we have had previously.
We are very happy with it, and we will definitely collaborate with him. I believe there's nobody that can understand us more than this kind of person. So it's a round peg in a round hole.
The gathering also resolved to encourage stronger interactions and relationships among all the national religious bodies. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Ifoma in Abuja.
Thank you, Dotun. President Muhammadu Buhari felicitates with Abdul Shaibu Oro, a journalist, lawyer, civil rights activist, politician and administrator, as he turned 60 on Saturday, August 15, 2020. A statement from the special advisor to the president, media and publicity, Femi Adesina, says the president on the joyful occasion rejoices with the celebrant, a former member of the House of Representatives, his family and friends, joining them to thank God for good health, sound mind and continued service to God and humanity. At 60, the president urges Honorable Oro to sustain his passion for the country as Nigeria is destined to take her place in the Committee of Nations. He also enjoins the former Edo State Commissioner to further deploy his multi-skills to touch lives and emancipate society, noting that such public spiritedness would never go unrewarded. And Kemi is next from Ibadan. Hello, Kemi.
And welcome to Ibadan. Minister of Youth and Sports Sunday Dari has called on Nigerian youths to be courageous and engage in activities that will enhance the development of the country. He made this call at a program organized to mark this year's International Youth Day at the Palace of the Oni of Ife. Adijoke Luyemi's report is here presented.
Youth engagement for global action took the center stage at the Palace of Oni of Ife, where stakeholders converged to mark the World Youth Day. Minister for Youth and Sport Development represented assured the gathering that the present administration would not rest until Nigerian youth are fully developed and empowered.
We at the Ministry of Youth and Sport Development will continue to work and advocate for more funds and investment in the youth sector to provide opportunities for Nigerian young people to shape their societies.
Various speakers at the event, including Oni of Ife, Obadeye Yegunwuse, emphasized the need for all youth to be creative towards achieving self-employment.
This country, or what kind of country is this? They are indirectly saying, these people, is this the people that make a country? So, what kind of Nigerian youth are we?
We
need to also know our history as young people.
In a lecture titled Youth Engagement for Global Action, Dr. Elizabeth Jack Rich called on well-meaning Nigerians to take the problem of youth with utmost priority on their respective policy formulations.
Safety of passengers and personnel remains top priority in Ibadan Airport as precautionary measures against COVID-19 are being strengthened on daily basis. Dayo Bushala's report is here presented.
Apart from keeping non-passengers away from operational areas, gaining access into the terminal requires rigorous screening with physical distancing as the basis. Checking of temperature through infrared thermometer is a fundamental rule. From baggage disinfection point to the check-in counter up to the screening point, passengers are made to keep social distancing with foot mats placed on the floor. This apart from instructions and facilities that prevent touching of surfaces even at the lounges.
We Nigerians were very law-abiding, and I can tell you that nobody wants to be caught unawares or to fall sick. And be that as it may, everybody is actually keeping to the post-COVID protocol.
Before you get on the plane, you sanitize your hands so that in case you touch anything, at least your hands are clean. And then your mask is on, so the coughing and the talking is all trapped in and filtered. So I think I was very impressed actually.
At the baggage claim point, the regulation is similar. This the airport authority vows to sustain until the pandemic is over.
And that's it from Ibadan. Before it's back to you.
Thank you very much, Kemi. Now, the Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, has described as unacceptable the destruction of the newly constructed concrete fence of the Akano Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, by an individual. The minister was in Enugu to inspect the level of damage on the perimeter fence, which is one of the component contracts in the Enugu Airport Rehabilitation Project. Susan Eze has the report.
About 2 kilometers of the airport fence and some private property were on Wednesday pulled down by bulldozers, allegedly deployed by one Mr. Jerry Emejulu, who is allegedly laying claims to the property. Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, is here for an on-the-spot assessment of damages on the airport's property.
Also an opportunity for government to show that no one can take the law into his hands and willfully destroy national asset belonging to 200 million of all of us.
Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi also visited the scene and condemned the act in its entirety. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, says the ministry is in the process of developing a unified social register with a view to achieving effective intervention programs in the country. It was part of her submission while receiving the House Committee on Women Affairs on and Oversight. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The committee's oversight is to identify areas that will require legislative interventions in the ministry's 2021 budget proposal and status of projects contained in the 2020 Appropriation Act.
We have not started anything yet. Just the procurement process began by way of advert, which is still ongoing.
The committee required documents on the National Institute for Social Work and National Commission for Persons with Disabilities projects, which were transferred from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs.
It will be important for us to oversight the job so that it will be easier for us to appropriate the required funds for all the line items present.
Meanwhile, the committee has oversighted the National Center for Women Development, saddled with the responsibility of providing training and skill acquisition for women and girls. The members and Director General of the Center, Mary Ekpere Eta, brainstormed on possible legislations against the prevalent issues of rape, molestation, and other acts of violence on Nigerian women. In Abuja, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And now COVID-19 updates. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 373 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released bring the total number of confirmed cases to 48,116 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 20 states indicates that Lagos recorded the highest number for the day with 69 cases, while Osun State has 41 new cases. Kaduna and Oyo states recorded 40 new cases each, FCT 35, Plateau 22, Rivers 19, Kano and Ondo states recorded 17 new cases each. Others are Ogun 15, Abia 14, Gombe 12, Imo 9, Enugu 7, Kwara 6, Delta 5 and Niger State recorded 2 new cases. The daily tally is completed by Borno, Bauchi and Nasarawa states recording 1 case each. Confirmed cases by states. Lagos has the highest with 16,256, followed by FCT with 4,632 and Oyo comes third with 2,935 cases. With the latest development, total number of active cases stands at 12,841, while 34,309 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, while 966 patients died, unfortunately. Meanwhile, the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria says it will continue to sustain dialogue with the federal government in meeting up with its demand. President of the union was speaking shortly after a session with top officials and relevant bodies of the union in Abuja. The union president says the prevailing health situation occasioned by COVID-19 in the country puts the call for strike at a tight corner and therefore appeals to government at all levels to look into their demand to avert any regrettable action.
That is because we attach so much importance to the very poor masses of Nigeria. I am not going to close the door on dialogue, but dialogue cannot be inexhaustive.
He advised members of the union to continue to offer services to the Nigerian populace, especially now that the coronavirus pandemic remains top amongst other excruciating health issues in the world. And efforts to tackle post-COVID-19 problems as it relates to women and children are the concerns of the Ministry of Women Affairs. This was disclosed at the 20th Council on Women Affairs, which was held via virtual means, occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic at the Ministry of Women Affairs headquarters in Abuja. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Ifeoma Anabogo, stated that the theme gender-based violence, a shadow in pandemic and a call to an end is significant at this time, considering the ravaging COVID-19, which has constituted a major threat to socio-economic development of Nigeria and indeed the global community. She further added that the meeting affords key players an opportunity to design a workable strategy to address the plight of women and children, as well as an avenue for experience and expertise sharing on emerging issues affecting women and children.
To address the plight of women, children, and other vulnerable persons in Nigeria.
She tasked participants to come up with strategies to tackle post-COVID-19 concerns as they affect women and children. With the rise in the cost of food prices due to COVID-19 in Nigeria, upscale production and more financial investments, as well as the adoption of new technologies in the agricultural sector are required for farmers to improve food production and marketability. These were the submissions of guests on Good Morning Nigeria. Butuwa Mila has the details.
The agricultural sector in Nigeria is one of the sectors that COVID-19 have affected, and the impact is already being felt as prices of food are increasing. President All Farmers Association of Nigeria, Kabir Ibrahim, urges Nigerians to indulge more in local production of food items for consumption and seek more financial support from all tiers of government to increase production.
But the reality of it is, Nigeria had made the mistake in the beginning of not eating what it produced. Necessity now, and the advice and advocacy that has been going on all over, is that we should produce what we eat and eat what we produce.
We are able to, in combination with the central bank and our bank and other stakeholders in the value chain, we're able to determine the price or the economics of production for any particular produce.
The guests commend the Buhari administration for making agriculture one of its top priority and suggest ways in which the government can assist farmers to enhance food security in the country.
Appropriate technologies should be encouraged. Storage facilities, provision of adequate processing centers should also be encouraged. And then capacity building of the farmers, the traders.
The small challenges is like flood. Sometimes when we farm, flood may come. And that's where the challenges has been, that's why I say minimal, because they are working on it seriously.
They also insist that the database of farmers should be properly developed to assist appropriate disbursement of agric interventions. In Abuja, Butwamila, NTA News. And Kaduna is where we go next, and Zule is our guide.
Faman, welcome to Kaduna. After months of total lockdown following the advent of COVID-19, Sheikh Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi Market, Kaduna, has reopened for business. Achari Maxwell reports that measures have been put in place according to the COVID-19 safety protocols to prevent the spread of the virus. The report.
God has delivered us from the hands of coronavirus or whatever. We are safe and we continue to be safe. I give God the glory.
Excited traders there, eager to return to business after months of lockdown.
We think say 1 month the thing will finish, 2 months the thing will finish, 3 months the thing will finish, up to 4 months. Now we are entering 5 months without open market. But today, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have made us an open market. Everything is going normal.
Arrangements welcoming traders and buyers by the entrance of the markets say a lot about the priority the state government places on adherence to the COVID-19 safety protocols. Every trader or customer entering the market is expected to undergo the process of hand washing, temperature measurement, and above all, maintenance of social distancing.
We must ensure that all the instruction and the conditions given by the government, we follow it.
Sheikh Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi Market was shut for more than 4 months now. In Kaduna, Achari Maxwell, NTA News.
Former Director General of the NTA, Malam Muhammad Ibrahim, now a district head, is spearheading what could revive the old tradition of communal effort in solving pressing needs of his community. Awal Muhammad Kazawi reports from Kenya Baba in Jigawa State, where the event took place.
It's the first rainy season Kenya town is experiencing flood, which affected 14 houses and other government infrastructure. The community mobilized themselves and embarked on drainage clearance to avert another flood. In high spirit of self-help drive, the young and the elderly participated in the exercise.
Especially from the end of July to the beginning of August, we witnessed some floodings which led to the destruction of so many properties. His Excellency Muhammad Abubakar has promised to continue this township road 2 or 3 kilometers here in Kenya. So with this 2-3 kilometers he has promised, inshallah, this thing will be over.
The former Director General of NTA, who is Makama Ringim and district head of Kanyababa community, allows his media instinct to bear in calling on the people to revive the old tradition of communal efforts.
Traditionally, Kanyababa has never had problem of mosquitoes, but this year the problem is overwhelming. So the government sent a delegation to come and take a look at the problem. We met them, we took them around the town, they saw the problem in real time, and now they are here, waiting for government to react in a positive manner. So we are grateful that the government has acted promptly to come and take a look at the problem and find a solution to the problem, a lasting solution to the problem.
Meanwhile, the Jigawa state government has sent a team of engineers to assess and find out a workable solution to the flooding challenge in the area. Awal Muhammad Kazaure, NTA News.
Let's pause for some messages. Nationwide will continue in Abuja shortly. Don't go away.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
She cries. She cries in anguish and in pain. She bears the scourge of her grief. She toils in vain for justice and succumbs to silence. He gloats over his malady. Like a beast, he pounces with no remorse. Her cry means nothing. Her pain feeds her shame. Like an orphan, she's left to grieve in solitude. But no more will she cry in vain. Her adversaries will henceforth bear the brunt of their cruelty. Rape is evil. Rape is a plague, a pandemic of monumental consequences. We must unite and kick it out of our society.
Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Thanks for staying tuned. The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, says it will continue to practice what it preaches in terms of transparency and accountability in its dealings. This was demonstrated as the organization held its 2020 pre-qualification bid in Abuja. Musbah Wahab reports.
2007 Public Procurement Act provides that transparency must be ensured in the procurement process by government ministries, departments and agencies, and that becomes more pertinent under a government that primes war against corruption. So, walking its talk, open competitive bidding is the guiding principle as NTA holds the 2020 pre-qualification procurement bid.
The essence of this exercise is to ensure fairness, transparency, reliability, accountability, and the strict adherence to ethical standards, which we all know is not just the aim of this government, but the urgent desire of the Nigerian nation as we move towards the goals of nationhood and development.
For the 7 lots of procurement advertised, about 15 companies submitted entries to prove technical capability to supply what the organization needs to stock up its equipment reserve.
Our buildings that we are renovating now, so a lot of things need to be done in order to make it habitable for our own work. So that is part of what we are planning to do this year, and it is already captured in 2020 appropriation bill.
They should keep the bid opening up the way they are doing.
With observers and bidders expressing satisfaction with the technical bidding process, the next stage is evaluation and financial bidding. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
The House Committee on Public Accounts has visited the National Institute of Petroleum Studies project in Kaduna, a site initially allocated to the National Council for Arts and Culture. It is sequel to a query by the Auditor General of the Federation over the absence of the proposed structure of the National Council for Arts and Culture. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Investigative hearing on the matter commenced on the 3rd of August 2020 with the Director General of the National Council for Arts and Culture.
This committee have asked me, where is the building? We can't find it. So the only way out is to make this formal report, which I've submitted to the committee.
The allegation is that it was PTDF that destroyed the property.
The verification of information on the appropriated funds for the structure has led to the committee's visit to the site in question. The reason is to ascertain the truth from the Kaduna State government and other parties involved.
We have to put our head in order to safeguard the treasury, in order to safeguard public funds.
The committee requested for comprehensive documents from them for further legislative action. Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
In line with the federal government's effort to improve public service delivery, a high-powered digital innovation conference is being convened to fashion out ways of harnessing latest information and communication facilities to enhance e-governance. To this end, the Director General of Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Dasuki Ibrahim Arabi, inaugurated the Inter-Ministerial Task Force to organize the conference. Austin Anyebe reports.
With the COVID-19 pandemic that is preventing efficient service delivery, the conference being convened therefore aims at providing a platform for technology service providers to interact with the members of the public service and redefine governance in order to attain the key priorities of the government.
We should be happy at the end of the day to see that Nigerian public servants can sit down from home, deliver service to citizens with the aim, as I said the other time, of reducing man-to-man contact by 100%.
The Director General, who interacted with the members of the task team virtually during the inauguration, says Nigeria cannot take the back seat in this era of e-governance. The conference is, among other things, to bridge the gap between public sector and the technology solution providers in understanding public sector processes and digital solutions available. Members of the Interministerial Task Team were nominated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation in Abuja. Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the education sector in Nigeria will soon experience technological change through indigenous technology solution. This was the takeaway from experts at the National Information Technology Development Agency NITDA meets up and hangouts with stakeholders on how to improve digital literacy in the country, especially under COVID-19. Haman Jabani reports.
With the theme, leveraging indigenous technologies to enhance educational development, the webinar seeks to, among other things, build an affordable indigenous solution to address the current global learning crisis using local solutions and to encourage innovative citizens to develop a marketable product and services using emerging technologies. The Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy and the National Information Technology Development Agency are responding well by launching virtual learning platforms for citizens to spend their times meaningfully out of the classrooms. The platforms are aimed at reskilling and upscaling citizens with digital skills for post-COVID-19 world and future of workplace.
Develop a sustainable model of collaboration for the adoption of indigenous technologies in our education all over the country.
Experts in the industry stress the need for the development of enduring technology hope adaptation of homemade products across the country that are capable of making millions of youths employed in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, robotic and software development. The meetup, they say, has opened the conversation and set the ball rolling for the change in Nigeria's education sector. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Nigeria and the government of India has signed an agreement on cooperation in the exploration and use of outer space for peaceful purposes to serve mutual benefits, particularly within the framework of the South-South cooperation. The Memorandum of Understanding between the two countries was signed in Nigeria via webinar. Some benefits inherent for both countries from the signing of this MOU include planning and implementation of joint space projects of mutual benefits and interests, establishment, operation and maintenance of ground stations for data reception, processing and utilization. Also of interest will be the exchange of equipment, documentation, data results of experiments, scientific and technological information, as well as joint activities in launch services, operation and utilization of satellites.
We understand and we believe and we are working very hard to ensure that we utilize space, science and technology in solving many of our national problems, particularly in agriculture, in forestry, in the environment, in manufacturing, and so many other areas. And we are convinced that this relationship, which the MOU that to decide today will further strengthen between our two nations, India and Nigeria, will help us in many areas that can help our economy to grow at the pace that we want it.
The first flagship project that will be implemented following this MOU signed in the Bhuvan, Nigeria geoportal development and operationalization. This is due to a major challenge encountered today, which is the access to current and reliable spatial data for effective and sustainable planning. And up next is sports with Ayodeji Makinde.
Nigeria's Georgia Oval has vowed to remain focused in a bid to become the first lady professional to win a golf major for the country. The 19-year-old made a slow start in the opening round of the Ladies European Tour Scottish Open in Scotland and identifies improved sponsorship as an essential ingredient of success.
If I can just clean up my mistakes, most especially with the putting, I have a great chance.
Meanwhile, Volleyball Professionals Association of Nigeria has intensified the call for more corporate investment in sports nationwide. The association expresses concern on the present state of facilities in the country, even as it honored Eddie Aderiokun, a former president, Nigeria Volleyball Federation, for his contribution to the development of the sport. In tennis, organizers of the US Open say the tournament will still go ahead from August 31 to September 13, despite defending women's singles champion Bianca Andreescu withdrawing due to coronavirus pandemic and limited time to prepare for the Grand Slam. To football now, record English FA Cup champions Arsenal have described the acquisition of Chelsea forward Willian as a bold step towards a top 4 finish next season. The 32-year-old will sport jersey number 12 after it was signed on a free transfer for 3 years. In Abuja, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
And before we go, a quick check on the weather prospects.